Alright, well, I'm out here in the wind in Mom's truck with all her intake plenum vacuum leak goodness, and I bought a can of this crap, which I thought we had lying around, and I'm gonna see if I can plug up that hole, because it's gonna rain tonight, and I just want this shit to stop leaking, and I'm willing to do whatever the fuck I gotta do to get it to quit, so that I can work on the damn interior. So, let's get to it. Alright, so I'm over here just shaking my can. Got the flashlight all set up. I got a stick jam down there in the drain, so that I can at least keep most of this crap out of there. It's not fully sealed, but I'm not too worried. And yeah, the goal is to fill that big old crack down in there. And I need to be careful about this. I need about 3 hands, so I'm going to stop filming. Alright, rain's dribbling in. That's what I've done. Just absolutely stuffed it all up in there, and then I scraped out everything I could, and I jammed daylily sticks and whatever this shrub is into the drain holes just to make sure they don't get plugged up and I have to clear them out later, and I can just rip those out whenever this stuff is set. This is designed for up to 1 inch gap, and I'm trying to make it do like a 1.5 inch gap, so probably not gonna work, but it's better than fucking nothing. So pray for me. Well, here she is the following day. Definitely ballooned up, kind of swole up like I was hoping it wouldn't do, but that's nothing the knife won't fix, so I'll just have to go find a steak knife or something and carve around it so that the drain path is still good. And yeah, just generally hope that it works. I don't think I got any more in here. Can't really tell. I think I did get some. You know, I'm still not 100% convinced that that's the only place. It's just the only one I can find. You know, I don't see anything else obvious. I don't see any pooled water down here. I really don't see much water down there at all. Could be that it's draining down through here. I have never checked that. Well, that's fine. I don't see any rust in there. Alright, well, I took a hacksaw blade and this mangled old steak knife that I keep in, I guess it's a paring knife, that I keep in my toolbox for just such a reason. And I think I carved that up pretty good. Got a pretty straight shot. That's all the foam I took out, fairly good bit. And yeah, I'm hopeful. That's the best I can say. It doesn't look like it's getting past this, but the caulk isn't really setting. So, I don't know. It's wet. It's very wet, so I guess the water is going there in some capacity. And I think I might do a quick dry of the floor in there, again, for like the 17th time. Just to see if it makes a difference, because it's supposed to rain again today. And then I gotta get to work, because I'm dilly-dallying. Well, she is, once again, dry. Actually, was not much water under here. You know, it doesn't look dry, because everything is still damp. But I think it was only 2 towels worth instead of about 14 this time. So we're making progress. We're definitely making progress. And that was before I had that fixed. And I've checked here. And there's no dampness here until I get to about there, which I think can be explained by wicking. So it's not coming in through the door. It's not on this side. I can guarantee that. All of this is dry. Max wetness appears to be here. All the way, oh yeah, right there. So that's got to be it, was that hole. I'm hoping. I do see a drop right there. Not really sure how the hell it got there, but we're going to forget about it. As long as, if I can just keep this from puddling, that's all I want. If I can just keep it from puddling, I'll be happy. Get in here, tear this seat out, get as much of this flooring wiring as I can up, and just slather everything in Pt.10 and just call it a damn day. Clean this shit out of this. I just want it to not flood. Is that so much to ask? Alright, so I'm an idiot, so I'm gonna come over here and take this worn out antique diesel and verify that it has not eaten through the bucket. And I think I'm gonna take this and filter it and see if at a later date I can get this to run in the Mercedes, which is a terrible idea, but I just want to let's see, because I know diesels will run off a lot of garbage, and I'm curious if I just filter all the crud out of this and maybe mix it like 50-50 with some fresh diesel, if something will happen. But I'm probably just going to do some research before that and, verify that it is a dumb idea and then never do that. But we'll see. And I'm trying to not spill diesel in my car, so wish me luck. Alright, well, I got the buckets here and I didn't spill any diesel in my car, so that's a bonus. The reason why I'm even entertaining this idea is because I'm going to drain the fuel tank on this thing, and I just need something to put it in, so I figured I might as well get all the other ruined diesel to drain this diesel into. I just am also curious as to what is wrong with this diesel that the car will not run on it, at least not well. And yeah, and I want to see if I can do something about it. Probably nothing simple I can do, but I'm just intellectually curious, for lack of a better term. Don't know if I'm gonna do the fuel system next or if I'm gonna do the water pump. We'll see. I got stuff to do both. I really just kind of want to drain the fuel tank and clean it, because once I get the water pump done, that's going to be the next step. All right, well, it's finally the weekend. Good news, bad news, good news. First good news, we do not have a significant parasitic draw because, as you saw before, it was sitting at like 12.58 the last time I checked this, and I've tried to crank this at least once, and it's been sitting out here in cold weather for a week, and we're still at 12.2. So I think we're good. I think the electrical system is totally fine. So that's nice. Don't have to worry about that. Bad news. Still didn't fix the leak because we got wet. It's about the same amount, slightly less wet than the last thing I dried up, and it's still all wet down here in the exact same places. And I'm still convinced that it is this corner because it's all still wet in the exact same place. It's slightly better, I think. I'm probably just thinking that because it makes me feel better. And I'm wondering if there's a drain in here that shoots out into here, and I have now totally covered up where it's draining, so it's just redirecting all of that way. I don't know, because I know I didn't quite get that perfect. Let's see if I can cram you guys down in there. I cannot, but I know it's not perfect down in there. There's still a smidge underneath, and I was checking inside if I could plug it from the inside, because that would be much easier, but I can't really even see anything in there. And there's all this shit in the way that I don't want to move. Mostly because I have to like dig underneath this to get those bolts out to be able to move this, because it couldn't just be easy. But if I could get those two bolts out, which do appear to be hex, and just put this somewhere else, I think I might be able to get in there. But of course, I've got the main wiring harness and the hood cable release, which I do not want to monkey with, because I'll lock myself out of this car. So yeah, I think I've got this squared away. Unless there's a small gap under there, then I don't. But, it should mostly be funneling in there. I might be able to get this guy off, because there's the other side of the hole is behind this. That's where the drain is. And if I'm able to get this inner fender off, I might be able to poke around in there a bit. Who knows? But we're just going to keep ignoring it. Now, the other good news is I don't think the fuel tank is in as bad a condition as I thought. That's because this red diesel that I pulled out, is in fact just red diesel. It's off-road diesel. I don't know why I didn't make the connection. Probably because I didn't understand that there was a thing as off-road diesel. So this is like 2004 off-road diesel because it was a farm car. And there was a 550 gallon diesel tank directly behind this thing. So yeah, there's absolutely no way my uncle didn't put off-road diesel in this road vehicle, because who the fuck cares? It's not an 18-wheeler. So that's a good thing for multiple reasons. Number one, that's just how that diesel's supposed to look. And it's, very cloudy, but it's not chunky. The other reason why that's a good thing is because before 2014, off-road diesel had a shit ton of sulfites in it, which are actually excellent at keeping algae, bacterial growth and fungal growth out of the fuel tank. So I think that actually preserved the fuel tanks, which means I don't have to buy a $30 thing of biocide. And I think I can just drain this like I have it here, take out the fuel strainer, clean that, pour in a little bit of diesel and rinse it out. And I think that's all I need to do to the fuel tank. I don't think I need to pull it and pressure wash it and all that jazz. I think this stuff saved me. So I think if I can just clean whatever chunks are in there and clean out the strainer, because the strainer is definitely messed up because the fuel system died with, like a gallon of diesel in there. And then get some of that tank cleaner that I bought and pour that in there, put a bunch of gallons of diesel in this and run it enough, I think the tank will be fine. And at the very least, it'll be good enough to do what I need to do, at least for the time being. So that's my plan today, is I'm not going to do the water pump, even though I did get all of the 10mm wrenches I needed. But I am going to fire this thing up real quick with no coolant, back her onto the ramps. Fire her up real quick. Hopefully it'll just fire up like it did before. Put it on the ramps and mess with the fuel tank. And then I think after that I'll work on the water pump, because if I work on the water pump and I'm missing something, the car's DQ'd. I can always run this sucker off of a bottle if I mess up something with the fuel tank, so that's not a problem. But if I can't get this water pump back together, because looking into this, in order to take off those two belts off of the water pump, I have to slack the alternator. In order to do that, I practically have to remove the air cleaner and get underneath this thing, and there's 3 17mm bolts, one of them which doesn't have a captive nut, that all need to be loosened and or removed so that I can move the alternator so that I can pop the belts off the fan. And I bought new belts for everything because I figured I'm probably going to break something, but all of these belts actually seem pretty good. And the reason why I'm not going to replace them now is because I have to take all the belts off to replace the water pump belts, which is annoying. And I don't want to have to slack up the power steering system and the air compressor in addition to the alternator. So all I'm going to do is loosen up the alternator as much as I can so that I can roll these belts off of the water pump, which I may actually be able to do. They're loose enough that I might be able to pop them off the water pump if I'm lucky, without doing the alternator, and then get in there and swap that out. But we'll do that another day. And I know I keep putting off the cooling system, but that's because I'm procrastinating. Alright, she tried fighting again, but I got her up on the ramps. She does not have much power, or at least she does not have much traction, because she started spinning out coming up the ramp. Yeah, she will not start with that air cleaner on. So she's starved for air somehow. Not really sure why. Brand new air cleaner, nothing in the tubes as far as I can tell. But anyway, so I just have to pull the air cleaner off and then finagle it over and spray ether straight into it. But she fired up right after that. She was running with very low power, but she was running on all cylinders instantly. So something's better than last time. And I'm just letting her air out and cool down real quick so I don't burn the hell out of myself on a muffler and or spill diesel fuel on a hot exhaust pipe. And we're just going to let her cool down a bit. And I'm going to crawl under there, pop the fuel line off, drain out as much diesel as wants to go, and then pull the strainer out, clean that, and get the last bit of diesel out of the tank. Well, I guess before I do that, I'm going to stick the transfer pump back in there and just pump out everything I can, just so it doesn't get on my face. And we're going to leave the fuel cap on when I drain the tank, just so that I have enough time to direct it into the bucket and get the hell out of there before it starts spraying diesel everywhere. Okay, so I forgot I used an extra hose to be able to actually reach in there, so we're not going to pump that out because I don't have the hose. So I'll just leave that open. So we're just going to put that back on and go for broke and get covered in diesel. And let me show you the undercarriage of this guy and some of the good things and bad things. Alright, so here we are. And good thing number one, I can smell gear oil, and I don't know if that's because of the gear oil that's in here or if this guy's doing something, but anyway, I smell gear oil. Here's the holes in the trunk that I'm dealing with. There's my muffler that I hung back up. There is the speed hole in the exhaust pipe behind the pre-muffler, because this guy actually had two mufflers. The flex plate is deleting. Here's the brakes that don't work, but the bleeders look perfect, so I think I might actually be able to bleed these things. Sorry about the dog food bag crinkling. If you look up there, that is underneath the passenger floor, and that's underneath the driver's side. So the passenger plug needs to be removed because it's rusted out. So that's nice. And yeah, you can tell that this was a northern car. Before it came down south, I thought it was entirely southern, but I think it was up north for a good bit, because she is real rusty and a lot of this undercoating is gone, and cars down here just don't go this fast. You know, that's saying something. 35 years they don't go this fast. So this was up north for a good bit before it came down here. And yeah, but it's not terrible. So this is what I need to remove, and I need to take out this Phillips head screw right here. And my grandfather was a collector of all things fine flathead screwdrivers, which is to say that there's practically no Phillips head screwdrivers in this house. So I found the worst Harbor Freight stuff I could find, and I'm going to try and get that out with some liquid wrench. And once we get that out, then we can drain the tank mostly. Then we can take that line out, drain the tank mostly, and then we can finally pull that 46 millimeter out and get the strainer out, and then get soaked in diesel fuel, which will also get all over this boot. So I'm going to need to find a trash bag to put over the top of all of this, just to keep the diesel off of this boot, because it's already about gone and I don't want it to go anymore. So wish me luck. Alright, well, we took this guy off, and that's how she's dripping. And it's a good thing I put this trash bag on there, because it's just going right onto that and there ain't nothing I can do about it. And hopefully it's not going to get in there and delete that boot. And nothing's coming out, which is a bad sign, which means that strainer is plugged. So we're going to get the big guns on it and hope for the best. Alright, well, good God. Well, we finally got her out of there, and she is totally boogered. But we did it not without casualties. I got diesel everywhere. There was this sort of like rubber under matting between the tank and the trunk, and it was not quite aligned, and so it was blocking the socket going onto the strainer. So I fought and actually tore the bag trying to get that thing on there before I finally realized it was that undercoating. So I had to get in there with a knife while it's dripping diesel, cut sort of about a 1/4 inch strip off along the edge. Finally got her on there, broke her loose, and she just dumped it out of there. And there looks to be about 2.5 gallons of diesel in there, which is makes sense, because I put about 2.5 gallons of diesel in there after I pumped it out. And yeah, strainer was fucked. So we're just gonna let that drip, and I guess pull that bag down, because it already got all over the boot, as you can see. Because as soon as I pulled that thing out, it just sprayed everywhere. So we're gonna call it a day. Well, we're not gonna call it a day. So I gotta go eat, and the shirt's ruined. Great. Alright, so I got the fuel sending unit out as well. Don't know if I'm going to do that today. I've got to disassemble that and clean all the crud out of there. I think the bottom just unscrews, but I'm not quite certain how to make it do it. It won't come off with my hand, so anyway. But this is what we got to deal with today. And this is supposed to be a sieve, not a bunch of chunks. So plan is just to pour fresh diesel inside of it and try and knock a lot of this crap off, and then get after it with a rag and just see what work we can do. Just gonna put a little bit of diesel down here in the bottom and just play around with it. Well, I think I might accidentally fix the sending unit by doing nothing, because you hear that? That's the float. And I mean, it sticks on the bottom a little bit, but I think with a little bit of cleaner and some friction, I think that'll come back around. So I'm not really going to worry about that, but I will leave it down here in the bucket just so that I can get some fresh diesel mixing around in the bottom of there and break up whatever's in there. But before we do that, I've got this guy set up like that, and I'm going to do my damnedest to pour some fresh diesel through there with the 5 hands that I have available. So wish me luck. Let's give this a whirl. I didn't really do too much, so I think rinsing is probably going to be the way to go. Alright, that's good enough. No need to waste any more diesel yet. Wish I had a toothbrush or something. Grody. Yep, I'm definitely going to need some biocide. You know, I'm not a diesel guy, but I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to smell like olives. And this just keeps smelling like olives. Yeah, I don't want to push on that too much and force it through, but hand's a bit forced here. Probably should have just bought a new one of these, but I'm cheap. I mean, come on, they were like $20. Oh, pen ink. Oh, that worked pretty good. Do that one more time. Chonky. I'll give her one more splash of diesel, just to be extra safe. There, I'll just clean it like that. That's good enough for now. I'm sure once I put the cleaner and or a biocide, because considering this is black, that's algae, so I do need a biocide in that tank. Think whenever I put that in there, it's just going to plug this up immediately, and I'll have to do this again, which I'm not looking forward to, but that's the way she goes. Oh yeah, in case you're wondering, this has a little spanner bit down there in the bottom. So you just need to get a little spanner to bridge that gap to take that out. And I think you get one of those in most safety bit sets. So that's what that is. But since mine is very free, I'm just going to not worry about it. Alright, so before I put the sender unit back in, I just want to show you the inside of the tank. And I don't know how well any of this is going to come out, but hard for me to get the angle here for you, but she's nasty. She's pretty dang dirty, if you ask me. And we weren't able to get all the diesel out. That's just the way it is. But yeah, she is full of sludge. So definitely gonna need a biocide. Definitely gonna need a cleaner. Great, but it's not super rusty, so there is that. Alright, well, that's as good as I'm going to get her. I replaced the O-ring on there. I was going to get all picky about getting all the crud out of there, but after seeing the inside of that tank, I have a sneaking suspicion I'm going to be back in here at least another 5 times. So, no reason to get carried away. this is the diesel that came out of there. I don't know how big this container is. I want to say it's probably about 4 to 5 gallons. Might say it on here. Nope, just says don't drink the oil. I think it's about 4 gallons, and it seems to be about 3/4 of the way full, so we'll say that's about 3 gallons. I probably put, based on that line, 2 gallons out of that can in there, and I probably burned off maybe a quarter, maybe a half of a gallon getting the thing started. So yeah, so there's probably about still a gallon and a half, probably about a gallon of old oil in there. And I still think it's off-road diesel, but as you can see by this fresh diesel that just has sludge in it, it's full of algae. So I gotta get a biocide, which sucks because that's about $26, although the stuff will last me for the entire life of this car. But I'm just gonna get back under here and get soaked in diesel and stick the strainer right back up in there, which I can't do with one hand, so wish me luck. Alright, now that all that's back in there, I'm going to go get the garden hose and spray as much of this diesel fuel as I can off of this boot, just to save whatever tiny amount of life is still left in it. And then we're going to pour some fresh diesel in along with some cleaner and pray. Alright, the undercarriage is washed off, and this is what I got to clean the fuel tank. This is not a biocide, but this is what I bought preemptively because it was like $12 instead of $26, and I should have just bought the biocide. But anyway, this treats up to 100 gallons if your shit's clean. If your shit's not clean, it treats 50 gallons. So my plan is to put the remainder of that, which is about 2.5 gallons, plus another one of those in here. And judging from that capacity, these are both 3-gallon buckets, and they're both not quite filled. The tank had about 5 gallons in it to start with. So the sludge line should be at the 5-gallon line. So I want to put about 7 to 8 gallons in there to get above the algae line. Put this in there to clean everything so that it all goes in there and clogs the strainer again, so that I then have to pump it all back out and do this again. But that's the plan, is I'm going to put about 1/4 of this in there because this treats 50 gallons when you got a dirty tank. So I want to use for about 1/4 of this for 10, and then put that in there, and then if we don't get any more problems, then that's all we'll need to do with the strainer for now. And I'm just hoping this will get me through the cooling system and the diesel purge and all that stuff. But yeah, just gonna pour this to the 24 and hope for the best. All right, drink up. That feels about right to me. Oh, bang on the money. I'm good at this. So yeah, I got 8 ounces in there, and we're gonna pour in about 3 gallons of fuel. I'm gonna fill that tank up, bring back another 5 gallons, stick her in there, and just wait for it to ruin everything. All right, come on now, don't fight me. There we go. Let's hope that O-ring holds. And the nozzle's leaking. Of course, why wouldn't it be? Okay, well, I switched over to the water pump real quick just to see if I could get the fan off and the fan shroud out, so that I could have easy access to the water pump and the alternator whenever I needed to do that. And of course, as you can see there, she decided to fight, and we had a regular old rounded nut situation. Bought specialty wrenches and everything. I did not buy Kent's wrench from Mercedes Source because he got rid of his old one, had a new one that was like $30, so I did the right thing and just bought $22 worth of shitty 10mm wrenches and then rounded the bolts off instead of just buying Kent's wrench. But anyway, so rounded one of them off, got 3 out just fine with this open end wrench, and then the other one rounded on all sides. So I shaved down this one until I could finally get the box end on there, and I put the box end on there and turned it and rounded off the last little bit. So then we got the vice grips on it, and she is now free. So I'm going to get this out so I can take the fan off, and then we're just going to take the fan and the fan shroud and just stick it in the cab so that I can get to the water pump at a later date. And I think those bolts also hold on the water pump pulley. I'm not entirely certain. Feels like it. So if we're lucky, we can pop that off, and then we don't have to touch the alternator, and we can sort of kajigger that back into place and not have to mess with the alternator, because that'd be nice. All right, fan's out, and she's pretty scroty, but we'll forget about that. And I was indeed correct. I can just sort of pull this pulley off just like that, so I don't even think I have to mess with the alternator. So we'll just leave these old belts, and I'm gonna pop this pulley out of here, and then I'll take off the upper rad hose, get this fan shroud out, and we should have plenty of room to get at the water pump. So that's pretty nice. Ooh, and that's not even rusty. Nice. Well, miraculously, none of the water pump bolts fought me. They all came out like 20-30 foot-pounds of force. But as you can see from all this wetness and the fact that I'm turning this and it feels like it's in RTV or a gasket. It also does look like it's been RTV'd up here, so I feel like this might have been replaced before. But when I pull this bolt out, water comes out. You should see it coming out the bottom hole, and it feels like there's rubber in there, which is not a good sign. So, yeah, kind of worried to see what the heck is actually in there. That is causing this pump to not pump and feels like rubber and is holding water in there, even though the drain bolt has been out and I have pressurized the system multiple times. So I've got a mower I need to go deliver somewhere, but when I come back, I'm going to knock that puppy off of there and just see what the hell I'm in for. I don't think it's going to be good. I think it's going to look like something in between fruitcake and pepperoni. Well, we got the water pump off, and not as bad as I was expecting. Pretty bad, but not horrible. Doesn't look that horrible. Still spins semi-freely. I think it's supposed to freewheel, but whatever. I just noticed that down here in the thermostat housing, there is this white foam, which is kind of concerning, and we'll just forget about it. I'm going to assume it's like dissolved aluminum. And if we look down here in the water pump housing, it's not that bad, so I don't really know where my issue is. I'm thinking it just needs a lot of flush in it and a lot of time. So that's probably what we're going to go with. So I'm going to clean up that sealing surface, clean all of that crap out of the thermostat housing, get the thermostat back in, get the water pump in, get my pulley on, and get the hell home. So I was rooting around down in here into this inlet going down into the water pump, and as far as I can tell, it is clear. But I did find this, and I have no idea what the hell this is. It's some sort of like demon egg or something. But that was stuck to the inside of the wall in there, and that's terrifying. And I don't like this, and I think this car is possessed by some sort of demon, and I'm probably going to die here shortly. So I'm going to hurry up and get it running so I can at least see this thing drive any considerable length of time before my soul is claimed by Lucifer. Oh, it's happening already. Alright, new water pump is on, and she is spinning. So now I just need to put the pulley back on, which is going to be fun. Then put the fan back on, and then put the shroud back, or I guess the shroud back on, then the fan back on. And I think what I'm going to do, because I think one of these passageways down here is plugged, is I'm just going to dump a bottle of flush straight down the upper radiator hose so that it goes in and fills up the block and just starts working its magic inside of there. And then I'll chase that with a thing of coolant. And then 1 jug of water after that and let her sit. And then next week we'll come back, top everything off, and run her till she gets nice and hot, see if she's now cooling, and then flush everything again. Well, okay, I got everything back together, including the rounded bolt, and I'm just going to take this Pt.10 flush and cleaner and just pour it straight down the upper radiator hose into the engine and just add in another 2 gallons of water because the forecast says it's not supposed to freeze for the next 2 weeks. And so I'm going to assume this plus whatever crap is still in there and 2 gallons of water and a forecast of no sub-freezing temperatures will be enough to get this thing clean by next weekend whenever I get this thing running again. Relay click, gave her 6 cycles of the glow plugs and a big old snarf of ether. It's now about 40 something out. Let's see if she goes. Reliable. She's a beaut, isn't she? Cleaning the fuel tank really seems to have helped, like tremendously. Well, fan and water pump seem to still be attached. Don't see any water pissing out. I'm just gonna let it run, get up to temp. Need to pop this off. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of coolant in there, just a splash, maybe a half gallon. Well, she's still going. I put half a gallon of coolant and half a gallon of water in the overflow tank, and she's now up to the normal level. Our short hose is leaking, so that'll have to get replaced at some point. But the water pump is holding up. It sounds like the power steering pump is not happy, or it could be the vacuum pump. It's probably the vacuum pump. I don't know where the vacuum pump is, but it's somewhere over there. Something over there is not happy and it's sucking. Let's see what our operating temp is at. We're not quite to 80 yet. We're sitting about 65. So, just gonna let her keep going and see if something cool happens. Hopefully she doesn't get over 80. Let me see if there's pressure in here. I don't feel any water. Well, I feel a little water. It's not warm yet. Water pump's still doing good. And check out this blow-by. Nothing. So she's in good shape, no blow-by. Looks like the return line might be starting to leak. That's interesting. We had a crack in it anyway, so see how the temp's doing. Nope, creeping up. Can we do it? Will the thermostat open and will she cool? Is the water pump working? Who knows? All I know is I need to get it up to temp and it's cold as hell out. I think something might be wrong with that pulley. No injector leaks. Definitely need to get a new seal for that up there for the oil fill. Oh yeah. Yep, return line is leaking, so I need to replace that. Well, we're at 80. I'm gonna give her another minute or two and see if it gets any higher. If it stays right there, then I think we did it. See the radiator's leaking. Doesn't really look like it yet. Short hose is definitely leaking. She hasn't gone down yet. Yep, definitely need a gasket for that. Yeah, engine is just running so beautifully. All right, are we overheating? Slightly. So I'm gonna let her go a little bit more and see if it hits 90. If it hits 90, then there's a lot of flushing ahead of me in the future. If I didn't have a turbo, I'd get the IR thermostat out. Let's listen to that exhaust sound. I think the engine itself is knocking louder than that. All right, moment of truth. What does she say? 90? Yep, 90. She's still not cooling quite. Well, fuck. So, I guess I'll kill her, and maybe if we're lucky, she'll die when I pull the key. Let's see. All right, going for the key. Key off, out. She shut down. Ladies and gentlemen, I caught it on camera. The vacuum shutoff works, sort of. But the car's still overheating. So, that's annoying. But nothing I can really do right now other than hope that flush works its magic and starts dissolving some of this demonic presence that's in here. May need to get a Catholic priest over here and at least 3 small boys. We shall see. Actually, I don't want to put a Catholic priest and small boys in the same room. That's a terrible idea. But anyway, we may need to do an exorcism on this thing. And, God, I hope not. So here she sits, old Mossy, full of diesel, full of coolant, full of algae, full of heat. Oh. Another week has passed by, and still very little progress. Did a lot today, and not really any further along than I was before. So remember, if you like this kind of trash, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to see more videos, you gotta subscribe and stick around. Till then, Tom out.